सबसे पहले जो है हम काम कर रहे हैं एक विजन 2047 फॉर द आर्म्ड फोर्सेस। सेकेंड चीज़ जो हम 2025 में करना चाहते हैं, एक इंटीग्रेटेड कैपेबिलिटी डेवलपमेंट प्लान ICDP लेकर के आएंगे, डेवलपमेंट ऑफ टैक्टिक्स एंड पुटिंग दोज टैक्टिक्स इनटू प्रैक्टिस। सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट बिग चैलेंज। दैट मीन्स द लर्निंग cycle has to be faster and faster. Combat, if you see, is increasingly becoming very, very intelligent. It is becoming increasingly digitized. It is dispersed yet networked. Battlefield is becoming transparent, and the warfare is also becoming multi-domain. You must have read it in the newspapers that we started a future warfare course. We're thinking of creating a future warfare cell. To win a war, you don't require one genius commander or 10 genius commanders and few brave men. You require everyone to be a genius, everyone to be equally brave.
भारत एक ऐसा देश जो दुनिया का नायक बनने की तैयारी में है, टेक्नोलॉजी के क्षेत्र में ग्लोबल लीडर बनने के लिए तैयार है, डिफेंस सेक्टर में आत्मनिर्भर बनने की तरफ अग्रसर है, जहां हर कदम विकसित होने की ओर बढ़ रहा है और इस बदलाव का केंद्र है सशस्त्र बल। अब सोचिए, अगर आपको ये जानने का मौका मिले कि भारत के सशस्त्र बलों यानी आर्म फोर्सेस को और धार कैसे दी जा रही है, डिफेंस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की नींव को और मजबूत कैसे किया जा रहा है, कैसे तीनों सेनाओं का इंटीग्रेशन हो रहा है और कैसे आत्मनिर्भरता के जरिए हम दुनिया को अपनी ताकत दिखा रहे हैं, तो क्या आप ये मौका छोड़ेंगे? नहीं ना। और इसलिए आज का एपिसोड है रक्षा सूत्र का सबसे खास एपिसोड। नमस्कार, आप सुन रहे हैं डायरेक्टरेट ऑफ पब्लिक रिलेशंस, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ डिफेंस का पॉडकास्ट रक्षा सूत्र। अच्छा, आज का एपिसोड खास इसलिए है क्योंकि हमारे साथ हैं वो हस्ती जिनकी लीडरशिप में भारत का डिफेंस सेक्टर इतिहास लिख रहा है। प्लीज वेलकम विद मी चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ जनरल अनिल चौहान सर। सर, स्वागत है आपका।
थैंक यू।
My very first question is, what are the key strategic objectives that the Indian Armed Forces are focusing on under your dynamic leadership as Chief of Defence Staff?
Before we start today's podcast, let me wish your listeners a very happy new year. May 2025 usher in happiness and joy, and bring in, may all your desires and dreams get fulfilled. As for your question is that what should be my strategic objectives as a CDS is concerned, the very reason for creating of an armed force and maintaining it is to deter wars, and failing which you got to win wars. Now there are two important things over here. First, there are no runners up in war. There's only a victor and then there's a vanquished. You don't get a second chance. And second thing which is important is that no war which you fight is like the previous. So one has to keep thinking about the future. And the profession of arms, if you have a look, is also very, very unique. In other professions, like if you're a lawyer, you're an architect, you're a surgeon, you're a doctor, you're practicing your profession every day. Nations don't fight war every day. So what we do is we keep imagining, thinking and preparing for a future war, while remembering that consequence of a failure will be too heavy and we have to win each and every war. So as a CDS, my major objective should be to develop a strategy and capability that will take into account the changing nature and character of warfare in future. And in that, what I should be able to create is to create integrated structures that are able to carry out multi-domain operations. I should be able to carry out cross-domain operations. We should be self-reliant in both capabilities and thought, and we should be able to operate across the spectrum of conflict, which we foresee.
Ji, sir, you have just talked about integration. How do you envision the integration of three services evolving in the coming time?
As far as integration is concerned, we normally speak jointness and integration together. That is संयुक्तिकरण एंड एकीकरण. सो आई ट्राई एंड फोकस ऑन एकीकरण. दो भिन्न क्षमताओं को अगर आप एक साथ जोड़ दें तो इस प्रक्रिया को एकीकरण की प्रक्रिया कहते हैं. मेरे हिसाब से ये एक भौतिक प्रक्रिया है. इट्स अ फिजिकल प्रोसेस विद सम काइंड ऑफ अ टैंजिबल रिजल्ट्स. एकीकरण का उद्देश्य किसी भी प्रक्रिया में दक्षता लाना होता है, जैसे कि प्लानिंग एंड कंडक्ट ऑफ ऑपरेशंस हो, कैपेबिलिटी डेवलपमेंट हो, क्षमता का विकास हो, प्रशिक्षण हो, ट्रेनिंग हो, या मेंटेनेंस सपोर्ट हो, या मानव संसाधन हो, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट हो, और प्रशासन या कानूनिक व्यवस्था हो. इसके अलावा कम्युनिकेशन और IT. तो ये वर्टिकल हम लोगों ने चुने हैं जिसके अंदर हम तीनों सर्विसेज के बीच में इंटीग्रेशन करना चाहते हैं। और इसमें तकरीबन हमने 196 एक्टिविटीज़ जो है चुनी हैं जिसके ऊपर काम चल रहा है। बेसिकली इसका 2 मुद्दे हैं। पहली चीज़ तो ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी लाना, ऑपरेशन दक्षता लाना, जैसे कि हो सकता है कि जॉइंट कम्युनिकेशन हो, जॉइंट एयर डिफेंस आर्किटेक्चर हो, जॉइंट ISR हो, इंटेलिजेंस सर्वेलेंस एंड रिकॉग्निशन स्ट्रक्चर्स हो, जॉइंट टारगेटिंग स्ट्रक्चर्स हो। और दूसरा है एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एफिशिएंसी लाना। और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एफिशिएंसी का मतलब है किसी तरह से हम लोग को जो है वी शुड बी एबल टू सेव आइदर ऑन मैन पावर, टाइम, रिसोर्सेज और प्रोसेसेस। सो दैट विल हेल्प अस in building new capabilities and saving this important resource for some other things.
जी सर। सिर्फ वर्ष 2025 को रक्षा मंत्री श्री राजनाथ सिंह जी ने रक्षा मंत्रालय के लिए ईयर ऑफ रिफॉर्म्स घोषित किया है, तो उस दिशा में किस प्रकार आप आगे बढ़ रहे हैं?
माननीय रक्षा मंत्री जी ने 2025 को ईयर ऑफ रिफॉर्म्स घोषित करते हुए उसकी ब्रॉड जो दायरा है वो और दिशा जो है वो निर्धारित कर दी गई है। और अब हमारा जो काम है इसके लिए एक डिटेल्ड रोड मैप तैयार करना है और जो महत्वपूर्ण लक्ष्य हैं, जो हमारे ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हैं इस पर्टिकुलर ईयर में, उनको तय करना है। तो इसमें सबसे पहले जो है हम काम कर रहे हैं एक विजन 2047 फॉर द आर्म्ड फोर्सेस। पहली चीज़ ये है, तो हम सोच रहे हैं कि साल के बीच में कहीं ये विजन को हम कंप्लीट करना पाएंगे और उसको ऑफिशियली रिलीज़ करेंगे। सेकेंड चीज़ जो हम 2025 में करना चाहते हैं, एक इंटीग्रेटेड कैपेबिलिटी डेवलपमेंट प्लान ICDP लेकर के आएंगे, जो कि पुरानी कैपेबिलिटी डेवलपमेंट एक लॉन्ग टर्म इंटीग्रेटेड पर्सपेक्टिव प्लान्स होती थी, उससे थोड़ी भिन्न है। तो एक नए तरीके से हम इसके ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं। इसके अलावा तीसरा काम जो हम कर रहे हैं, मैंने आपको जैसे बताया कि मुझे जॉइंट या इंटीग्रेटेड चीज़ों के ऊपर काम करना है, तो जॉइंट डॉक्ट्रिन्स के ऊपर काम किया जा रहा है। जॉइंट डॉक्ट्रिन्स हो सकते हैं जैसे मल्टी डोमेन ऑपरेशंस या नेटवर्क सेंट्रिक वॉरफेयर, कन्वेंशनल मिसाइल फोर्स, जॉइंट स्टाफ वर्क कैसे किया जाता है, स्पेस के अंदर किस तरह का काम, साइबर का तो हमने ऑलरेडी निकाल चुके हैं, जॉइंट कम्युनिकेशन, जॉइंट लॉजिस्टिक आर्किटेक्चर, इस तरह के एयरबॉर्न या हेलीबॉर्न ऑपरेशंस, इस तरह के जॉइंट डॉक्ट्रिन्स के ऊपर हम लोग काम करेंगे। इसके अलावा हम लोग जो है भविष्य में आने वाली जो टेक्नोलॉजीज़ हैं उनके अंदर जो हमें किस तरह की क्षमता का विकास करना है, इसके ऊपर हम काम करेंगे। तो इसके लिए हम कुछ एक पॉलिसीज़ निर्धारित करेंगे। ये हो सकता है जैसे स्पेस के लिए, क्वांटम के लिए, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, मैन्ड अनमैन्ड टीमिंग, लीथल एंड ऑटोनोमस सिस्टम्स। इन सारी फ्यूचर टेक्नोलॉजीज़ में हमारी क्या पॉलिसी रहेगी, किस तरह से इनका विकास होगा, उसके ऊपर हम पॉलिसीज़ ले डाउन करेंगे। इसके अलावा कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल और स्ट्रक्चरल रिफॉर्म्स होंगे, जैसे कि इंटीग्रेटेड थिएटर कमांड्स की रूपरेखा जो है गवर्नमेंट को प्रेजेंट करना और उसे बनाना, और एक जॉइंट प्लानिंग एंड ऑपरेशन रूम बनाने की कोशिश करेंगे ताकि तीनों सेनाएं एकत्रित तरीके से जो है प्लानिंग और ऑपरेशन कंडक्ट कर सके।
जी सर, what are the major challenges in modernizing India's defense capabilities and how do you plan to address them?
See, you're talking about modernization of defense capabilities, but defense is a larger segment. It would include things like defense R&D, defense manufacturing, would include DPSUs, it will include, private sector, it will include new DPSUs, defense procurement, etc. And it also will include the larger defense and security ecosystem of the country. But what I will do is I'll focus only on the military modernization and the challenges with regard to that. Otherwise, normally what happens is a normal understanding of a layman as far as military capability development is concerned is related to procurement. कि आपने procure कर लिया, that means you're capable. But I don't think that it is an important segment of your capabilities, but it is not the only one. There are other elements which come into it. One could be, say, strategy. It would involve doctrines, concepts, developing requisite tactics. Second would be morale, the armed forces. So for which you require leadership, you require training, you got such kind of activities. As far as the challenges towards this is concerned, the first big challenge which I think is that technology is moving at a very, very rapid kind of pace, and it's difficult to catch up with the technology. Fifth, commensurate your acquisition procedures, etc., which are slightly slow, or R&D procedures which are slow, or development of tactics and putting those tactics into practice. So this is the first big challenge. That means the learning cycle has to be faster and faster as time goes by. Second thing is correctly understanding the future, which I said our idea is to win a future conflict. So we have to get it right as to how the future wars will be fought. Third thing is to change the mindset of existing rank and file in the armed forces. For this changes which I am talking about, and you all would be knowing that to get any new idea into mind is very difficult, because you got to throw that old one out. So that I think is important. So we'll have to do this process of learning, unlearning, relearning. Something to do like being creative, then exploiting it, using it, and then destroying it. It's something similar to our mythology of, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Indian philosophy and mythology. That means you constantly are creating, running it, preserving it, and then destroying it. So today, probably in future, you'll have to have all these kind of capabilities together in one man. That's the biggest challenge we have.
Definitely, sir. We talked about modernization. Now let's also talk about technologies evolving nowadays. In your opinion, how important is technological innovation in the future warfare? And what steps are being taken to equip India's armed forces to advancements like artificial intelligence and machine learning?
See, right now what's happening is that there are a number of competing technologies which are working together to introduce what I call is a new revolution in military affairs. And combat, if you see, is increasingly becoming very, very intelligent. It is becoming increasingly digitized. It is dispersed yet networked. Battlefield is becoming transparent, and the warfare is also becoming multi-domain. So this all combined together is ushering in what we call is a new revolution in military affairs. So for tomorrow, only being innovative may not be good enough. Apart from that, you'll have to be imaginative, inventive, and ingenious all together. 4 eyes is what I emphasize upon. And these innovations which you spoke about is not only restricted to existing weapon systems, but also creation of new capabilities. So existing weapon systems would mean upgrading of those facilities, extension of their lives, enhancing their capabilities. So the technologies which we are looking at could be broadly classified into 3. One is sustaining technologies. That means if the same tank with the same capabilities could be lighter, it could be airlifted, it could be faster, it could have a longer range. So there is not much, but in those technologies it is sustaining itself. That is one. Second is emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, whose impact is not yet felt onto warfare, but it will be felt after 5 or 10 years. So we have to constantly think about that. And one is dual use and disruptive kind of technologies. Dual use and disruptive technologies will actually, because you haven't thought about it, it changes the nature how you actually fight the warfare. So these are very, very important things, and the various steps which we are thinking towards this is, we've started, you must have read it in the newspapers, that we started a future warfare course. We're thinking of creating a future warfare cell. That's important. Dissemination of this knowledge, we are thinking of using digital technologies and digital platforms. Policies on emerging technology, I spoke about it, that for futuristic kind of technologies, we'll enunciate a few policies and you will see. And those are part of my, what we said is roadmap for being in the year of reforms.
Very well said, sir. Talking about the present geopolitical situation, in light of growing global tensions, how do you foresee India's defense strategies adapting to new threats such as cyber warfare, space and hybrid warfare?
Global geopolitics is in a big kind of influx, and there is rising uncertainty, and this uncertainty is driving many nations to review their national security strategies. Also, defense budgets of most of the countries are going up. So in this era of uncertainty, we'll have to find our place as to where we are, what kind of threats and challenges we will encounter in future. Apart from this is the march of technology, which is unprecedented kind of a pace, and in which cyber and space are emerging as 2 new domains of warfare. Historically, if you see, whenever there is a new domain of warfare actually starts in that domain, because amongst the 2 belligerents, there is a asymmetry in the capabilities. So if you have asymmetry in, say, air power, so other type only air power to fight that war, and that will affect warfare on land as well as on maritime domain. It's happened in the case of when maritime power became a predominant power. Not that the warfare will not happen on land, it may still be decided on land. So now we are entering into 2 new domains, cyber and space. Now both these domains, the warfare, next war may just start in these domains and end in these domains decisively. If not, it's going to influence the warfare on land. Say like space, we know that space consists of intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. If you can't see, how do you fight? Communication, another aspect which is given by space. And third thing is position and timing. That means all your targeting data is related or is coming down with the help of space. If you can't do these three, then no army will be able to fight. So if you take out these capabilities in space, so warfare may move into space. If not, it's going to influence warfare on land, water, and air. The second thing is cyber. Earlier I had said that warfare is increasingly becoming network. It is getting digitized, and that's how it is becoming intelligent. Intelligent, when I say, we are using technologies like artificial intelligence, etc., or machine learning. So when we are fighting in such kind of an environment, obviously cyber security and cyber threats will become a major challenge. In these two new domains, the only thing is that we don't reside in this domain to fight. Unlike in land, sea and water, you actually are fighting by living in that domain or flying in that domain. This is not happening because one is a synthetic domain and technology is still not advanced to that stage that we will be in space to particular fight. So concepts, etc., for fighting in these two domains are yet to develop, and these are also known as global commons. So the rules of engagement, etc., are also yet to develop. So we should be up and about regarding these two domains. Last you said is about hybrid. Hybrid is a combination of every kind of warfare, conventional, sub-conventional and otherwise. So that's an ongoing kind of a process as for the armed forces. But these new domains are important.
Right, sir. And the thirst of the government is on Nari Shakti. How armed forces is promoting women in uniform?
See, empowerment of women is important for any country. They are 50% of the workforce. If you want to be a developed nation in future, women have to play an equal role. If you have to empower women, there is no better organization than the armed forces. In the armed forces, if they start assuming a leadership role, then the social acceptability in other walks of life will be very fast and people will recognize that. So that's an important role which the armed forces are taking.
Right, sir. Coming to human capital, what are the steps being taken under your leadership to enhance the capacity building of armed forces personnel?
If you have ever visited any army unit, in the training area you would have read this particular slogan: the more you sweat in peace, the less you will bleed in war. Now this is a slogan in which the focus was on physical abilities, contact warfare. As I said, warfare may be changing or in future moving from contact warfare, kinetic, to non-kinetic, non-contact and towards cognitive. So physical abilities will give way to kinetic abilities. That's where the warfare is moving. So tomorrow probably I would like to see in those same units that the more you think about future warfare, the more likely you have to succeed. So that's what actually what I said earlier, you require to change that mindset, change the thinking about future warfare. And in this when we fight, there are three elements to fight. One is the commanders who lead, and one is the combatants, combat units, etc. And in between there is a link which is known as staff. So all three need to think what will be their role in future, how will they are going to fight. So for commanders, I said earlier that we have this core program, we have this future warfare courses, etc. So we brainstorm ideas as to how do we develop kind of a tactics or strategy to fight in future. For staff, we have already done courses in staff college, in millet, people are learning things jointly. All this what we learn, staff work and tactics, etc., which commander develop, has to translate into war fighting tactics and training at the unit and subunit level. So this is a process which will continue, and it's my view, to win a war, you don't require one genius commander or 10 genius commanders and few brave men. You require everyone to be a genius, everyone to be equally brave. So this knowledge, the change which I am talking about, has to percolate down to every commander of ours, every staff of ours, every combat unit of ours. Then only we can think to win, to fight and win a future war.
Ji sir. Before we conclude this episode, what special message would you like to give to our fellow citizens through our podcast?
See, once upon a time, in ancient India was a Vishwaguru. We taught the world what mathematics was. Of course, our numeric system is a gift of ours, the decimal system, the zero. Astronomy is a gift of ours. We were far ahead in, say, literature, medicines, mental and physical health, yoga, Ayurveda. All these things were part of our heritage actually. Somehow that has got lost. But again, the world is moving from physical abilities towards cognitive abilities, and not only warfare, otherwise also. And I think India's time has come because it's natural in us. It's actually part of our genes. It's there in our DNA, and we got to somehow revive that particular thing. To revive that particular thing, I believe that people will have to start believing in it, that we can actually do it in future, and Indians have to believe that they will actually shape the future. I think that's very important for us.
जी सर, थैंक यू सो मच, आपने हमारे लिए समय निकाला.
Thank you once again and a happy new year. Jai Hind.
दोस्तों, चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ जनरल अनिल चौहान सर की दूरदर्शिता और नेतृत्व से ये साफ है कि भारत की रक्षा ताकत आज की जरूरतों को पूरा कर रही है और भविष्य के लिए भी पूरी तरीके से तैयार है. रक्षा सूत्र के इस एपिसोड में हमें आत्मनिर्भरता, नई टेक्नोलॉजी और सशस्त्र बलों के विकास के उन पहलुओं को समझने का मौका दिया है जो भारत को एक मजबूत और सुरक्षित देश बनाने में मदद कर रहे हैं. आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस हो या मशीन लर्निंग हो या साइबर सिक्योरिटी, इन जैसी कई तकनीकों पर जो काम हो रहा है वो दिखाता है कि हमारी सशस्त्र सेनाएं हर दिशा में आगे बढ़ रही हैं. ये न केवल हमारी रक्षा क्षमता को मजबूत करता है बल्कि भारत को दुनिया में एक मजबूत स्थिति भी दिलाता है. आदरणीय पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री श्री अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी की 4 पंक्तियां मुझे यहाँ पर याद आ रही हैं और ये बिल्कुल सही मौका है आपको उन्हें सुनाने का. और इसी के साथ मैं इस एपिसोड से आपसे विदा भी लेना चाहूंगी कि बाधाएं आती हैं आए, घिरे प्रलय की घोर घटाएं, पांव के नीचे अंगारे हों, सिर पर बरसें यदि ज्वालाएं, निज हाथों में हंसते हंसते आग लगाकर जलना होगा, कदम मिलाकर चलना होगा, कदम मिलाकर चलना होगा. तो बिल्कुल हमें कदम मिलाकर ही चलना होगा. आर्म फोर्सेस बॉर्डर पर तो तैनात हैं ही, साथ ही देश के अंदर भी दुश्मनों पर पैनी नजर गड़ाए हुए हैं. देश का नागरिक होने के नाते और जो देश प्रेम की अलख आपके अंदर जल रही है उसकी खातिर आप जिस भी फील्ड में काम कर रहे हैं उसमें पूरी निपुणता से कार्यरत रहें. यही है आपकी तरफ से देश के लिए सच्ची सेवा और 2047 तक विकसित भारत बनने की राह में आपकी तरफ से एक कदम. मैं मिलती हूँ आपसे अगले एपिसोड में. धन्यवाद. जय हिंद.